how to play college basketball, more specifically, how to get recruited to play college basketball. And let's talk this first one right off the bat.
So, Mano, there's no magic pill to becoming a college player, and I think the first thing is that you got to be good enough. Like you've got to earn the right to be able to get there. And the truth of the matter is, there's probably players that are good enough that aren't playing, and that's one of the things we want to talk about is how to help them, get recognized, get seen, or help them get in touch with a college coach. But I think that's the first thing, and I think we've got a little bit of a problem probably in sports in America where we're spending all of our time getting exposed and not enough time getting better. And so this probably hits different for different ages, parents. But one of the things I would encourage them is to control them taking control of their game and becoming the best player they can be, and making sure that you're getting the right information on how to become the best player. I think that, as college coaches, we spend time at high school games, we spend time at AAU tournaments, and there's a lot of players out there that spend a lot of time getting exposed, but not always getting to the level they need to get to. So first of all, figure out, how do I get good enough to make sure that I'm college ready? What are the things that I need to be doing? I think that's one really big controllable. I think another controllable is, college coaches look for all kinds of different things. And, it's really kind of shocking to me, how often players don't stand out. When you go watch hundreds of players, both of my kids are playing in tournaments this weekend, and I'll go out recruiting and I'll see players all over the place. And, we teach this at PGC, but it's really not that hard to stand out if you're willing to be different. If you're willing to be the most shaped player, and for those of you that have been to PGC before, what shaped means and what a shaped player looks like. But if your spirit is different than everybody else, if your energy, if your hustle, if your communication, most players on the court aren't talking very much. Most players on the court aren't giving 100% hair on fire effort all of the time. So I think controlling those things of being a phenomenal teammate and I know those things are talked about a lot, those intangibles, but as a coach, when I see those things, I had a young man the other day that I went and watched at a local high school here. I'm not sure if he's good enough or not. I was debating, but when he didn't shut up for 50 minutes of the workout, I said, I haven't seen that in a workout in 3 years where a kid didn't shut up. He just kept talking, kept encouraging teammates. And the whole time, I went back to my assistant coaches and I said, this is different. This is something that I don't know if he can help us in games. I'm unsure that he's close, but I know he can make us better in practice every day. And so sometimes you can just get an edge by just standing out and controlling things like that. And I think, it's really important for players and parents talking to players and, coaches teaching those things, that players control things that will help them to stand out, because, they might shoot good, they might shoot bad. And sometimes a lot of coaches, we're capable of looking past that. If a player stands out in other places, knowing, man, that shot looks pretty good, it just didn't fall today, but all these other things, if nothing else, it's going to get a second look from us. We're going to go watch them again.
I love that. And I want to unpack both of those a little bit further with you, the getting good before you try and get seen, and the getting an edge. And obviously it's helpful to do the things that'll give you an edge once you've gotten good. But I can't help but think of our local player, Jamal Murray, who's obviously become a star with the Denver Nuggets. And when he attended his first camp with us when he was going into 9th grade, he had yet to play any AAU basketball. And then he came back to PGC for his second time. And I grew up playing pickup ball with his dad. And he still wasn't playing AAU because his dad said he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready because he knew he had to get better before he tried to get seen. And then he had a quick ascent and quick rise because he had spent so much time getting good. When he did finally play in 10th grade AU, he was really good. And he had just used all of that extra time to get better and better and better. And it wasn't that he wasn't still playing against good competition, because he was playing with older guys in pickup games that made up for not playing with good players in AU. So that was one example. The second one was my son, and I've got a really funny story, TJ, because my friend here who runs a really successful basketball program in town used to say he was going to call Family and Children's Services on me for not putting my kids in his program. And I said, they're not ready yet. We're just working on them getting good. And anyway, when he ended up playing at the same time, it was the same time as Jamal in 10th grade is when he started playing AU. Well, everyone thought it was going to be too late because he hadn't played from 3rd grade to 9th grade, but now he's a college basketball player. And so it can obviously be every parent has to choose for themselves, and every player has to choose for themselves. What point in time do you need to kind of get into the system? But I think far too many players try to get exposure and try and get seen before they try and get good. And any additional thoughts on that front?
I think I'm coaching a travel team right now with my daughter who's in 7th grade. And, I think one of the things that happens when you're in travel ball is you start doing things that you're maybe not ready to do. And, I played college basketball, and one of the best things that my dad ever did for me was have me just shoot inside the paint till I was like 6th grade, 7th grade. And I slowly moved back. And there's a great video with Steph Curry and talking about between his 9th and 10th grade year when his dad took him back in the gym and scooted him in and kept him in there the entire summer. Because all of a sudden you start trying to do things to impress people or to keep up with the Joneses that are going to actually hurt your game. And one of the best things that my dad ever did for my game was keep me in there. And if I would have been playing in games, I probably would have let a bunch of shots ride. And then you have to undo habits. And that's just one example of going and doing things that you're not ready to do yet, which is going to probably cause damage to your game. And another thing that's happening in a lot of those games, and we talked about it prior, Monos, in America, we kind of are run by the almighty dollar of basketball. And in foreign countries, they're doing a better job of teaching the game, to be honest with you. They're out there and you can't run a ball screen till, 14, 15 years old. We see 8-year-olds running ball screens. And to be honest with you, it takes a lot of practice time to go out there and teach how to guard a ball screen, which is time that's taking away from your player being a better shooter, a better passer, a better teammate, a better whatever, any of those skills. Because now you got to teach how to guard a ball screen, which they're not ready and it's not time. And so you start doing things that are actually possibly hurting your game versus actually developing your game.
Yeah. And actually we tested the waters and put our son in 8th grade and on an AAU team, and he was the 8th man on the team. And I realized this isn't going to be the path that's going to help him get to where he wants to go. So in 9th grade, we pulled him back out and just worked on development before we put him into 10th grade. Everyone's got a different journey. I'm not suggesting that's the journey for everyone. And like TJ, your daughter's playing in 7th grade. And but I think it's worth considering just how do I get good before I try and get seen, and how do I get so good that there's something that's worth being seen. And I think it's an important consideration, and not that it has to be one or the other. If you're in the right program, right school program, right AU program. For example, when I was growing up, we didn't have a strong high school program. I needed my AU program to help me get good and to help me play against better players. So everybody's situation is a little different. I knew I could help my son get good, and he didn't have to play AU to get there. And so a little bit different for everybody's scenario, but the principle is a great one. Get good before you try and get seen.